I have to say, awesome facial hair. I appreciate that. Yours is quite magnificent as well. Why, thank you, Doctor. Dare I say best in the universe? I'd have to agree. To Hela's realm with you mortals. Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight, I'm taking a look. Tonight, I'm taking a look at the Bandai SH Figuarts movie Doctor Strange. Now, this figure was the holdup on my Star Wars Figuarts Padme. I don't know what that holdup was, but who cares? I got the figure. Now, I decided to go through one of the overseas sites. I didn't need the Bluefin exclusive version with the fire that's coming to the US. I would have liked the fire, but I don't like spending any more extra money than I need to. I already spent enough money. Yeah, it would have been cool, but I went with this version. Looking at the package, it's definitely very Doctor Strangey. After getting a few exclusive Star Wars versions where it's just black with the silver, no window, very bad picture on the front, it's nice to see the window back. Window, you see almost everything. It's still kind of hidden, but I still like seeing the figure before I open it. Graphic of Benedict Cumberbatch from the movie, some spell design around the side, logos. On the side, not a pretty picture of the figure. That's kind of throwing me off a little bit. It's from the movie. It doesn't really matter. It's cardboard. It's getting tossed. But I'm used to seeing another pretty picture of the figure on the side, which they saved for the back. Here's the promotional pictures, the usual movable molding option parts. It shows what comes in the package. Down here, some unreadables. It probably says something like, does not actually contain magic. It's not going to change your life. It's not going to make a rabbit appear. And he does nothing with tigers. So don't set yourself up for disappointment there. On the other side, more of the window coming around, kind of showing the cape, the side of the figure. On the top, the Doctor Strange logo. The bottom, well, that picture again. That thing's all over the package. But I'm going to get this open and see what's going on here. Looking at the instructions, I'm already kind of leery. I mean, I really wanted Doctor Strange. I like the movie. I like Benedict Cumberbatch. I like Doctor Strange. But it goes through the usual instructional parts of switching the head, switching all the hands. There's a hand with a peg on it to put the magic trick on it, and protective film. I will figure that out when I get to it. You can put the hand through the other spell casting thing. But here's where I get worried. And it's only because I have the old SH Figuarts Thor with the cape that's in 3 pieces or however many it is. Plastic. It's kind of a pain in the ass. It's saying warning delicate, carefully. It plugs in. It's looking like it's going to be another pain in the ass. And for some reason I'm talking like the Mandarin today. You'll never be able to read this. Here are some unreadables. And there we go, all out of the package. And you know those annoying figures that you can't help but like, no matter how much they annoy you? This is what I have right here. It's a beautiful damn figure, but I'm just going to say it's a little bit annoying. Or at least cumbersome. Cumbersome's a good word. But like I said, the sculpt is pretty damn amazing. Coming out this late in the game, whoever does the sculpting on this, they had a lot of reference at this point. I haven't actually compared it to a movie still or the movie itself, but in my brain, this is how I'm seeing this costume. Now, there's detail all over the place. There's a nice fabric texture. It gives it a nice feeling all over. Plus, it's one of those things you keep looking and you keep seeing different stuff. There's wraps on the arms. There's laces on the boots. There's some wraps on the boots. The wrinkles. Just everything there. And then you have the belt. It has its different leather parts, different kinds of material for each different belt. The buckles. The Eye of Agamotto isn't a separate piece here, which I'm kind of okay with. It doesn't flop around. It doesn't look like it's a heavy extra accessory piece that's just out of place. It looks like it belongs on the figure. And then as far as paint goes, it's all really nice. Not a lot of shading, but the different paint apps, it does fall into place really well. The lighter blues, the grays, the silvers on the belt. I guess in the movie I never noticed that he had that classic Doctor Strange cross look to the front of his tunic. Again, I'm not sure if that's accurate, but it totally works for me. And then up to the head, it's definitely Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, there's no denying that. Like a lot of the recent heads from Bandai, there is a couple of angles that you look at it and you think, that's not it. But for the most part, it really is. You come around to paint, and I don't know what's been going on lately, but they've been kind of falling short there. It's kind of pale, it's kind of shiny, he looks kind of waxy. In fact, that's the best description I can come up with. It looks like a wax sculpt of Benedict Cumberbatch. You know how you go in a wax museum and you look, and the likeness is 99% there, but you can still tell that it's not an actual dude standing there? That's what Bandai's been doing lately. And I know it's a small figure, I'm just making that comparison to give you an idea of what it looks like in person. The eyes are a little bit light. I feel like they should be punched in a little bit harder. It should jump out at you a little bit more, but it kind of fades into the overall facial features. And then the hair, it's just kind of plain brown with some plain gray at the temples. Not a lot of excitement going on there. But then there's the cape. This reminds me of the old Thor. I think I said that earlier, and I just don't like it. It just doesn't work. I know people are against cloth, and I kind of am, but I kind of like cloth better than what this is. Now, you can punch in a lot of detail because it's plastic. You have this sculpted edge down this side. You have it down the other side. You have a texture up here on the neck piece, and you have these stripes running through. And then, of course, the wrinkles that stay in the sculpt. It doesn't go away, but it's just stiff. It's just heavy. It just hangs there. You can bring it out a little bit, but then you throw the balance of the figure off, and it's going to fall backwards. It's just, it works as a tripod, and that is a good thing, but only because of itself. Now, you do have a hinge where you can bring that out, and bring that out, and then that swivels around here and here. I guess you can make it look a little bit dynamic, but you look at it from the back and it just looks like a mess right here. I don't like it. Other than that, I love the figure, but I guess my other gripe stems from the movie costume itself, trying to translate that into smaller version plastic, not lifelike robes and such. And that's just so much shit hanging off of him. This big belt, this lower part of his tunic, there's a skirt type piece underneath. I guess it's the undershirt hanging down. Now, Bandai did a good job of making all this soft. Even the upper cape part is flexible. This gets out of the way. This is really flexible. So it doesn't really hinder anything. So what am I griping about? It's just that it's hard to get him into poses. And hard is a strong term. It's not super hard. It's just not as easy as a figure that doesn't have all this crap hanging off of him. I guess really what it comes down to is I would have dug a removable cape, but that would have meant a whole different setup here. This does come off. It's two little pins going into the hinge on his back, but you can't get the collar off. I would like to be able to strip him down to his dress blues, for lack of a better term there. His training uniform, or whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to leave that off to go over articulation, and that's a ball going up into the head, and then the neck is also articulated, so you get a pretty good range of movement even with this big collar here. You get down, you get, well, it runs into the collar there, but he does look up. You get tilt, tilt, nice movement there. Swivel. You get a ball going out into a hinge in the shoulder, covered by a cup to kind of hide the articulation there. You get a shift down, you get a shift up, a little bit forward, a lot of back. You get out that much, swivels around, but again, the cape does get in the way, so you can't go straight up and down. Hinge of the shoulder, not terrible. It comes up past 90. A little bit of swivel there, but I don't know if that's meant to swivel. You got a swivel, hinge, swivel at the wrist, so you get swivel, you get hinge, and then you can manipulate that around to go up and down or whatever direction you want to go there. There's a dumbbell joint behind the belt, so you get forward, not terrible, back, side, and that tends to pop off. But you can't see the articulation there. There's a ball at the top, ball at the bottom, good range of movement, just a lot of stuff there. Which way did this go? Like that. The hips are on a drop-down joint, and they were packaged that way to make him look taller. If you pull down the joint, you can see it's quite a bit of difference between the raised joint and the lowered joint. So one of the good things about this hiding this is you can make him taller without it making him look really awkward. And that'll come into play when I get to the comparison. But shift down, you can get all the way forward, you can get a lot back, you can get pretty much all the way out. Get some swivel up there on that ball joint coming out. Got a single knee comes up, not bad. The angle is another negative here. I don't know if it's because of all the sculpt or what's going on here. It looks nice. There's no gap or anything, but it also doesn't give you a lot of range of movement because of that. Especially in the rocker department, not much there at all. And then there's a toe joint that comes up to about right there. For accessories, Doctor Strange comes with quite a few hand options. He comes with 2 fists. I think all figures should come with fists, no matter if they punch or not. He comes with a set of at-rest hands, or you're under arrest hands. He comes with a set of hands that are a little bit less relaxed, a little bit more spread out. He comes with a set of hands that are less relaxed than that, almost splayed out. He comes with a couple of conjuring hands where his ring finger and thumb are touching and he's getting that spell going. And then he comes with a set of hands that have a peg in the palm for that spell casting action. And thankfully, Bandai has continued the trend of making their hands easier to pop on and off. It's not loose at all. It's got a nice pop to it. It stays on, but you want to take it off, it just comes off. And that is very, very cool. And you put the spell casting hand on, and that is for the spell casting options. You have the larger orange one. It looks really nice. You pop that onto the peg. It looks great. And you have the 2 smaller green ones. One of these are defense, one of these are offense, but I can't remember off the top of my head which is which. But both work really, really great here. Now, like the instructions said, there is a film on the pieces, and that is to protect the print on this flimsy little piece of plastic. I don't know if I was expecting more, if I was expecting it to be etched or sculpted onto a clear piece, but this totally works. But at the same time, I'm just very, ever so slightly disappointed that it's just this. Yeah, I don't know. Plus, on one of my green ones, the print isn't centered on the cutout itself. It's not a big deal, I swear. I'm not trying to make this, oh, this figure sucks because of this. It's just that, you know, it's there. I'm pointing it out. But I'll never see it again once it's in the display. Even if I'm displaying this one, I'll never look close enough to go, there's maybe a 10,000th of an inch here off this way. And to put that on the peg, it just kind of forces on there. I would recommend not pushing it really far on there because I've got it stuck a couple times. You get it too far on there, and you go to pull it off like this, and the hole deforms to where it almost pinches on the peg. So just barely put it on, and you shouldn't have any trouble getting it back off. Now, you can also put the option pieces over the peg of the wrist and then plug the hand on outside of it. And that looks pretty good, but I don't know. I just don't like that as much as this awesome peg right here. I love this setup. It makes it look really great. I mean, when I can pick these flat, flimsy pieces of plastic up off the desk, I can't. I have no fingernails. What the hell? What, it suctioned to the desk? Give me my piece. There you go. Yeah, there's just something about this peg right here that works so great. You can see the peg, yes, but it's a damn action figure. What more do you want? The actual magic coming out of the hand? But the palm being on the back, I love that. And then finally, there's the alternate head. Yes, I understand Doctor Strange is just a human that wields magic, but I would have liked it to be a little bit more different than the head that came on the figure. This head is a little bit more angry. The eyebrows are more furrowed. The mouth is slightly open. You can kind of see teeth there, but for the most part, it's hard to tell the difference between the two. You just pop this one off. You have the peg on top. Pop this one on. No big deal at all. And it is a little bit more dynamic than the first head. It's a little bit more aggressive, but it still has the same problem of glossiness, pale. The eyes don't really stick out at you. It's kind of faded into the face. Hair is painted really plain. They match, and he's looking in the same direction, so that's a plus, but just not different enough to blow my skirt up. Let's put the cape back on. And what am I doing wrong here? Plug in. There you go. For comparison, here he is with the Marvel Legends Doctor Strange. Quite a size difference here, but you knew that was happening. The SH Figuarts tend to run true 6-inch scale, and then the Marvel Legends is a kind of a bigger superhero type scale, which is kind of sad because Marvel Legends gave us a Mordo, and I doubt Bandai ever will. And these do not go together at all. That's just out of the question here. But here he is with the SH Figuarts Tony Stark, and this works really well aesthetically. Stark kind of has a darker tan, but again, that's going back to this Strange figure being pale for some reason. You can also see the height difference here, but I also have the legs extended all the way up. If you take the legs and extend them down, giving him a little bit more height, I kind of, well, the only bad thing about that, the cape comes off the ground and you lose your tripod option there. But as you can see, this works a little bit better. Let me straighten them out, make sure. Yeah, the heights seem more accurate here. So at the end of the day, even though I said this was cumbersome, I really dig this figure. It's dynamic. It has a nice sculpt to it. And for being exclusive, it does have a nice range of accessories. And that's an odd thing to say, but there's been some exclusives in the past where we didn't hardly get shit with them. Ant-Man came with a couple of hands, little bitty Ant-Man, a couple others. It's nice to have these magic options here, a lot of hands, an extra head, even though it's not super different. I still feel that makes it more bang for your buck. I can't blame the hindrance on the articulation on Bandai or the figure itself. That's just how the movie is. He wore a lot of robes. He had a big cumbersome cape. And that's where my sticking point for this figure comes, is the cape. I didn't like it on Thor. I don't really like it here. It looks okay on the shelf, but it gets in the way from dynamic posing. You can still do it. You can get it up there. You can get the cape, move here, but it's frustrating, at least on my part. But I still love the figure. Does that make sense? I kind of hate it. I kind of love it. I appreciate the effort that was put into here. Slightly disappointed that the magic effects are just flat, clear pieces of plastic with some print on them. I guess because of the Hasbro one having the actual sculpt, but there's also the downfall of that being heavy, that being less translucent, it being essentially a shield with a handle on the back. I can overcome the disappointment of the magic effects themselves because of how damn great they look in the palmed hands. I just love that look. This figure's worth it. I dig this figure a lot. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe. I'll catch you on the Fwoosh.